Welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel, everyone. Audra profits from chaos while Kyle's words reveal his emotions. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Audra Charles, Zuleika Silva, is unable to control her urge to annoy Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. She knows what to say, when, and how to walk to the edge. Kyle's flustered look belies his feelings to a certain extent. Oh, he remains outraged that Audra's actions cost him Claire Newman, Haley Erin. But Kyle also knows that the base of what Audra continues to say about their chemistry is true. Claire felt pushed away from Kyle and toward Holden Novak, Nathan Owens. Mealer's character reinforced her feelings when pressing her in Chancellor Park about the trip to Los Angeles, California. Holden Novak is a new beginning. Holden doesn't appear to have been a good guy when he was living in LA. According to Billy Flynn, he has not disclosed the truth about his uninterrupted employment with Kane Ashby. So, that's something important Claire doesn't know. Eventually, Holden's full backstory will be revealed and confirmed. But in the meantime, he's the fresh face and start that she craves. Claire was made to smile by Kyle. He touched her to the point of falling in love. That changed, however, as Holden took advantage of the opportunity presented by the empty space. Holden is in Genoa City, Wisconsin, because he too is looking for a new beginning. Audra Charles realized her goal. Audra agreed to maneuver Glissade away from Tucker McCall, Trevor St. John, in a time when soap operas seemed like centuries ago. But Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, betrayed her trust when including Kyle as a counterbalance. Victor was skeptical of Audra's capacity to manage that cosmetics business on her own. Kyle had a proven track record and was Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, son. So, that twofer allowed Victor to hire an experienced corporate manager and stick it to Jack. Digitally skipping to his past summer, Audra agreed to do Victor's bidding and try to con Kyle. He didn't fall for Audra's games and embarrassed her in the train car. Victor said that Audra was humiliated, failed, and has been plotting her retribution against Kyle ever since. As she accurately said, her involvement led to Kyle's split from Claire, so Victor should pay her off. Kyle Abbott talked himself into a corner. Kyle thought he could rid himself of the Audra annoyance. He believed tricking her in the south of France would help to protect Claire. That conception was flawed and backfired far worse than he could have imagined. Moving on without Claire is unbearable. Yet, she isn't inclined to reconcile and is leaving for LA so she can clear her head of Kyle. But she won't get him out of her heart anytime soon. Standing in the corner of his own making is excruciating. Kyle can only wait for Claire to come back, pray that she doesn't marry Holden in Los Angeles, and try to avoid Audra, whose role in his life seems far from over. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the Young and the Restless. News and spoilers for Y&R will be posted here frequently. Audra's calculated dance with chaos. Audra Charles has been written into the Young and the Restless as a character who thrives in the grey areas between morality and ambition. She doesn't simply exist in Genoa City as a bystander, she actively engineers situations that keep her relevant, powerful, and dangerous to those around her. In the current arc, Audra once again proves that chaos is not an inconvenience for her, but rather a resource. The drama swirling between Kyle Abbott, Claire Newman, and Holden Novak gives her fertile ground to manipulate emotions and steer corporate power moves to her advantage. For Audra, disruption is strategy. The more unstable her rivals' lives become, the stronger her grip over situations she wants to exploit. Audra had a clear understanding of Kyle's weaknesses from the very beginning of their relationship. He has a ferocious temper, a romantic heart, and a strong need for love or business validation. By walking to the edge, as the spoilers describe, Audra expertly applies pressure. She doesn't outright declare war. Instead, she tosses carefully placed sparks near dry tinder, waiting for Kyle's frustration, guilt, and vulnerability to ignite. His frantic responses only serve to reassure Audra that her plan is paying off. Each look, each slip of anger, each stumble in his words reveals his emotions more clearly than he would like. For Kyle, Audra represents everything he claims to despise but secretly can't resist: the intoxicating lure of danger, the thrill of passion, and the challenge of facing someone who won't let him easily escape. Even when he tries to keep her at arm's length, Audra has already figured out how to claw her way back into his consciousness. And while Kyle stews in his corner of regret and loss, Audra profits from every chaotic ripple. Kyle Abbott's emotional tightrope. Kyle's current storyline exposes a man who has lost balance in both love and business. His attempts to juggle his relationship with Claire, his family responsibilities, and his entanglement with Audra have left him cornered. It is fascinating that, despite the fact that Kyle appears to be aware of how precarious his situation is, he continues to talk himself into tighter ties. His flustered words aren't simply slips, they're admissions of truths he doesn't want to acknowledge. Kyle's fury toward Audra for costing him Claire is rooted in pain, but the venom loses some of its sting when examined closely. Beneath the outrage lies a lingering attraction and the acknowledgement that Audra's words about their chemistry are not entirely wrong. This duality makes Kyle a compelling character in this arc. He simultaneously fights against and leans into the pull Audra has over him, a tug-of-war that leaves him perpetually unsteady. The fact that Kyle truly loved Claire Newman makes the tragedy in his corner even more tragic. Their romance gave him the grounding he often seeks outside of the Abbott legacy. Claire represented a clean slate, someone who wasn't bogged down by the complicated webs of Genoa City's elite. However, Kyle's possessiveness and impatience weakened the fragile bond. By pressing her too hard, particularly in the confrontation at Chancellor Park about Los Angeles, he reinforced her growing doubts and nudged her further toward Holden Novak. Kyle's inability to manage both his professional manipulations and his personal insecurities reflects the larger Abbott struggle, a family constantly pulled between empire and intimacy, pride and vulnerability. For Kyle, the words he chooses now carry heavier weight than he realizes. Each time he lashes out or attempts to outwit Audra, he exposes his heart, and Audra takes careful notes. Holden Novak, the opportunist with secrets. Into this volatile mix enters Holden Novak, a man whose presence isn't as simple as it seems. At first glance, he is the fresh face offering Claire the escape she craves. He seems to be the new chapter she wants, especially since Kyle's flaws made her relationship impossible to ignore. For Claire, Holden is unburdened by the Abbott name, the Newman machinations, or the suffocating expectations of Genoa City society. He represents freedom. But the spoiler text hints at Holden's darker layers. His time in Los Angeles isn't as spotless as he portrays. His connection to Kane Ashby, another character who has often walked shady lines, suggests a web of deceit that has yet to fully unravel. That Holden hasn't disclosed the truth about his employment history reveals a pattern. He hides what could destabilize his new narrative. For now, Claire is unaware of these cracks, but once the truth surfaces, her vision of Holden as a clean start may crumble. Thematically, Holden serves as a mirror to Kyle. Both men are navigating reputations, trust, and romance, but where Kyle battles old entanglements and overexposure, Holden tries to reinvent himself by burying his past. Because of this, Claire's decision between them is less about romance and more about who she is. Will she choose the man who is tied to her first love in Genoa City or the man who offers her a chance to escape, even if it is filled with lies? Victor Newman's power plays and Audra's revenge. Victor Newman's fingerprints are all over this storyline, as they often are whenever Genoa City business dealings spiral into personal wars. In addition to being a business move, his decision to pair Audra with Kyle at Glissade was also a tactical strike against the Abbotts. By inserting Kyle, Victor ensured that both Jack and Audra remained on unstable footing. But in the long game, Victor underestimated Audra's ability to recalibrate after humiliation. When Kyle exposed Audra in the infamous train car, she endured public embarrassment. That point might have been the end for many. But for Audra, it was a catalyst. She absorbed the hit, adjusted her strategy, and redirected her energy toward revenge. Audra thrives in pressure, in contrast to other Newman opponents who collapse under pressure. Her ability to reframe Victor's betrayal and Kyle's trickery into opportunities highlights her resilience and cunning. Her latest angle, that she deserves compensation because her machinations helped Victor achieve his broader goals, is classic Audra. It demonstrates her refusal to be discarded or dismissed. Even when cornered, she turns the narrative to her favor. She will use Kyle's guilt, Claire's heartbreak, and Holden's secrets as leverage if Victor does not pay her directly. This adaptability is what makes her a dangerous figure in Genoa City's chessboard. The pain of waiting and the question of redemption. Perhaps the most poignant layer of this arc is Kyle's suffering in silence as Claire prepares to leave for Los Angeles. Her departure feels like abandonment to him, yet it's also the natural consequence of his own missteps. Kyle is a man who has spent his life expecting control over his name, his business, his romances. To stand helpless as Claire walks away is excruciating. Worse yet, he is aware that neither he nor she are completely free of her. But waiting for Claire to return is a dangerous strategy. Genoa City's stories rarely allow characters to pause without consequence. While Kyle clings to the hope of reconciliation, Holden has the advantage of proximity. While Kyle remains mired in regret and entangled in Audra's games, Holden has the chance to strengthen his bond with Claire every day in Los Angeles. The audience is forced to consider the question, can he ever truly redeem himself, because of Kyle's waiting game? Redemption in soaps often requires sacrifice, humility, and a willingness to confront one's darker impulses. For Kyle, that means facing not just his mistakes with Claire, but also the undeniable attraction he feels toward Audra. His path will remain muddled until he admits the full complexity of his emotions. Audra's endgame, profit, power, or love. The spoilers frame Audra as profiting from chaos, but the deeper question is, to what end? Is she driven solely by business and money, or does she really want connection, even in twisted ways? Her obsession with Kyle suggests that there is more to the story than just retribution. He reflects her own ambition and impulsivity, she believes. She enjoys the duel because Kyle puts her to the test, unlike other people. Audra, on the other hand, never loses sight of her power. Every relationship she cultivates doubles as a stepping stone toward influence. Her entanglement with Kyle isn't just about personal satisfaction, it's also about destabilizing the Abbott legacy and carving out a permanent place for herself in Genoa City's hierarchy. Audra thrives in the messy intersection of business and love, in contrast to characters who alternate between the two. Conclusion: chaos's slow burn. As this storyline unfolds, the true brilliance lies in its slow burn. Each character, Kyle, Claire, Holden, Audra, and Victor, stands at a crossroads, their choices interwoven in ways that ensure no decision is without ripple effects. Kyle's words betray his unresolved emotions. Claire's departure raises questions about loyalty and reinvention. Holden's secrets loom like ticking bombs. And Audra, ever the opportunist, profits from every misstep, waiting for the perfect moment to seize even more control. This is the young and the restless at its most layered, where romance, business, betrayal, and identity collide in ways that feel both inevitable and unpredictable. Audra thrives because she understands a truth the others resist: chaos isn't something to fear, it's something to wield. And as long as Kyle keeps revealing his emotions in his words, she will keep finding ways to turn his vulnerability into her advantage.